Good day, guys. Austin here, and welcome to another episode of Emu-Nation, a series which revolves everything around emulation, front ends, gaming, and pretty much anything that's technological that floats my boat, which more or less sums up everything in the world, to be honest. Okay, in this episode, we're going to be looking at Cemu. It's just had a big update, so stand by for that one. Elsewhere, we've got more Citra news. Jesus wept. We can't stop Citra news coming out lately. And we've got PCSX 2, some nice little updates, and a surprise which may open many people's eyes. Is that a poet? I don't know. Anyway, we digress. And we've got some front-end news and anything else that I can think of. But anyway, guys, I've waffled enough. Let's get stuck in. Right, so first up, we're going to be looking at the emulation scene and what has been going on around there. First off, as always then, we are looking at Cemu. Now, this is the Wii U emulator, for those of you who haven't been on planet Earth for the last, don't know, year or so. The Cemu emulator has been, it's been updated, as it near enough does every week. However, this, according to the developers, is a milestone release, and I can see what they're saying now. The pre-release hype to this version was, I don't know, it wasn't really floating my boat. It was the same old, and it wasn't really giving me much to get my teeth into. However, now it has been released, and I'm starting to actually test these games. Absolutely mind-boggling, the stuff that they've been doing there. From the horse's mouth themselves, in their changelog, they are saying new text-to-cache or manager. Now, when I was playing versions previous to this, when I first played a game, it would be very stuttery. There would be a lot of, I don't know, it would just pause. It would wait for a texture to load, and you could see that it wasn't coping with it very well. Once you've played the same game on the same level, and the same kind of sprites and assets and all that kind of stuff have been loaded once, it seems to run a lot smoother. So the more you play a game, the more smoother it gets. However, upon loading this, I am still seeing a lot more glitches or a lot more stutters, but they are few and far between. And I don't know, the same game being played from fresh compared to one of the other ones, much faster. So yes, there is still stutters in the first play of a game, but it is, well, it's got better. Let's put it that way. Other things that they were talking about with this then is the actual emulator getting mixed up with textures. So there would be a lot of glitches, a lot of assets that were looking out of place. I haven't noticed any of those as of yet, but yeah, hats off. Other than that then, they're talking about huge compatibility improvements. Yes, that is a box that is very much ticked. A lot of the games that I've tested weren't playable in previous versions. Now, not only are they booted up, they are actually very much playable. And also, they stated that they've got audio improvements. Yes, I have. I mean, a lot of the games have now got music and they're less stuttery, but that's probably due to more actual compatibility rather than the audio. But I couldn't comment. This is still very early days. I've not gone through a lot of the games yet, so I couldn't really put my word to that kind of statement. Other than that then, we've got various different bug fixes, and the big one is that they focused on this version mostly on accuracy and compatibility, and I can state that that is very much the case on this one. I've seen a lot more improvements in terms of the graphical glitches being cleaned up. I've seen a lot more of the games actually being playable, not even just booting, but actually playable. And they're also saying that this one wasn't focusing on frames per second, although for me, and maybe just be my system and me, I don't know, thinking positively about all this, I am seeing minor speed-ups on some games. All in all, an awesome release, and again, hats off to you guys over at Cemu. You've done an awesome job. I said this every week, don't I? I cannot believe how far you have pushed this and what we've got in such a short period of time. I don't know how you're doing it. I really don't. But however it is you're doing it, well done, lads. Well done. Okay then, elsewhere, we've got Citra. Now, I did a news flash on this week, and, well, it was deserving of a news flash, to be honest, because Citra, yes, it's a 3DS emulator, and yes, it has been playable with games. However, those games were more or less very slow. You needed a supercomputer just to get anywhere near the actual frames per second that you would expect to make these playable. Now, out of nowhere, unofficial builds were released onto the general public, and they were pretty much flooding everywhere. Now, this saw the introduction of the CPU JIT. Now, in other words, this is, I think it's off the top of my head now, just in time. It's the way they process the actual game code. It's a lot more streamlined, it cuts a lot of the gubbins out that isn't needed, and it brings, well, the graphics to your screen in a much higher frame rate to make the games more playable and smoother for us to play. So, well, with all this in order, now you can play games at full speed, and in some cases they're too fast because it's too good. So a lot of the games you need to put VSync on or use some third-party apps to actually throttle the game back to try and control, to put it on a leash because it is running ragged and wild. Well, with the unofficial builds, that then seen a backlash from the actual Citra community, as in the official guys. They were noticing some underhand tactics that were going on with the actual builds that were being released by the unofficial guys. I'm not saying they are, I'm not saying they're not, but there was rumors going around that there was things involved in the actual builds which could be harmful to some of the users. So they didn't want to put the names to anything like that, and they asked everybody involved, could they, well, please not link the unofficial build or not make them public until they can start to introduce it into the official build. I'm just going off what I've been told. I couldn't say if that was gospel. I couldn't say if that was an official statement. That's all as I've been told. I tried my best to go along with that, and that's why I never give out any of the builds, in the hope that I was kind of helping the community. But anyway, guys, enough of me going off on a tangent. Let's talk about the actual official build, which they just released on Friday. It's absolutely groundbreaking. It really is. Now what they've done is they've introduced it into the official build, so now you're seeing them kind of speed ups in the official one, the one that you can just download from their website, which is absolutely awesome because it means now that everybody could join the party of playing their 3DS titles to the maximum. Also included in there, I've noticed the scaling comes as standard, so you just tick the box and it is automatically scaled to your native resolution of your desktop, and some other little treats to go along your way. Some things that I would say that haven't been introduced yet to the official build is there's no controller support yet, so you still have to use either your keys or a third-party application to configure your controller to the actual emulator. Other than that, we're looking at some games still not having the fixes put in as standard, so I'm not testing Pokemon yet on this build. However, I'm guessing that it doesn't run. You're going to have to need some fixes for the Mario Kart and games which needed fixes beforehand, so I'm sure they will be released very soon, but at the time of me recording this, those kind of assets have not been yet available to the general public, but I cannot see it being very far off. Next up then, we've got the PCSX2. Now this is the PlayStation 2 emulator. Now these guys have been under the radar, they've just been grafting on and getting on with things like they always do, to be honest. Good set of lads. Now the beta builds are called the 1.5s. Now for those of you who've been keeping tabs on my channel, I've got a 1.4 tutorial. It's almost identical in the way it's set up. However, obviously with the betas they introduce more things are cleaned up, so there is slight variations with each build that they make. And these builds are coming out almost on a daily basis. However, every now and again they come up with a report, and this one is the third quarter of 2016, the progress report. Now in here they have stated a few of the normals, to be honest, in terms of portability, in terms of enhancements, redistributable talking improvements with controllers, bug fixes, graphics fixes, or graphic improvements should I say, to do with, the various different video modes that you can use, or the various different modes that the PlayStation uses and how it interprets them, and also to do with the scalers and how it's upscaled. Now beforehand that gave you a bit of blurring effects when there shouldn't really be blurring, especially if you're running on a HD resolution. If anything, that should be making it sharper. So they've got some slight improvements with that, as they always do. Yes, it's not a finished article, and to be honest I don't think it ever will be, but every day they bring new strings to their bows, and it does improve. More games become more compatible, more games become better looking, and the all-round emulator just becomes a better thing by the day. Now, all that is pretty much normal when it comes to the PCSX2. They are, like I said, again and again, they just develop it non-stop. But at the end of this report, this is what has raised my eyebrow, is the fact that there is a teaser. Now, I will link in the description down below so you can take a look at yourself at all these improvements that I just talked about in more detail, because it's too much for me to go into here. It's very technical, can be a lot boring for you guys, but you can read it up yourself. Now, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see this. Look forward to our next report. We may have something special, and it gives this as a picture. So this could be something kind of new to the party. it looks like PCSX2, the PlayStation 2 emulator, could be looking at getting backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 1 games. I got no idea what to expect from that. Of course, yes, I know, the PlayStation 1 has been emulated on numerous emulators. However, if they can get some kind of compatibility running to the same kind of standards, it cuts out another emulator. You can utilize some of the features that the PCSX2 has worked on and developed for years and for use in its PlayStation 1 games, and that is only a great thing. I don't know what you guys are up to, but I hope you do well with this. As always, guys over there, if you want to communicate with me, tell me anything, sneak anything out, give me a shout. The viewers would love to hear from you. Okay, then looking into the front end world, and today we're going to be looking at a forgotten beast, a well-worthy and probably one of my favorite front ends, which has been neglected for some time. Now, this is called RetroFE, and it's done by an awesome set of lads. However, it's also open source, so anybody and everybody is welcome to join on the bandwagon and help them out in any way they can. Now, RetroFE has been moving forward. There is a good scene. It's very active. But I would say it's been neglected for some time because, well, let's face it, Launchbox, Hyperspin, GameX, many of the other front ends have kind of been stealing the limelight with all the development and all the breakthroughs that's been coming through. RetroFE, I wouldn't say it's been left behind, but it's been, I don't know, left in the shadows. It's not been as obvious as everybody else. But for me, this is an awesome front end because it's a blank canvas. Anything that can be done, can be done. I know that doesn't make sense, but you literally can make this front end do anything. The only drawback is that you need some kind of know-how in how to make it happen. But I've addressed all this in the dedicated video that I put in the description down below. Now, this front end this week has seen a free build unleashed onto the community. Now, this is a free build, however, you do need an EMU Movies account which grants you access to the FTP over there. It can be downloaded straight from there. It's ready to go. It's pre-configured. It's got all the themes, all the movies, all the art assets already set up for you for all the systems that you could possibly want, to be honest. But because all the assets are taken from EMU Movies, you do have to be a member of that place to be able to download it legitimately. Now, of course, it is free, but you do need to be a member. That is the caveat. I cannot help you out in any other way other than that, guys. But the front end itself is completely free. And if you go over to the website, again, link in the description down below, you can download the front end from there and make it yourself using whatever assets you want, using themes that are freely available on the forums, using all the assets that you've already got maybe for other front ends. It's all completely open and, well, accessible to you. Now, something that I do have to say, the website, the main developer, the guy over there who was kind of pulling all the reins and stuff, awesome guy. However, he's kind of taken a step back, so a lot of the website is outdated. You need to go into the forums to get all the up-to-date builds, all the up-to-date themes, and all the information that is pretty much relevant to today. The guys over there are working on getting everything up to date, changing a lot of things over to give it a new lease of life and bring it into the kind of, I don't know, development standards that you'll see with a lot of these other front ends. So I hope to see a lot more news coming from these in the future. But for now, guys, thank you very much for gracing us with this awesome release that you brought to us. It really does give a very valid option for many people just wanting to, well, I don't know, copy and paste a front end and get it working without any issues whatsoever. So, thank you very much. Bringing me onto the world of gaming then, and the news revolving around there. There's been quite a lot of releases, especially for the AAA titles. Now, one thing, Battlefield 1, what the hell is going on with that? I was awesomely involved in that. I was loving the beta. Everything was pretty much spot on. EA nailed it. The game itself, the actual content of the game, the performance, everything was spot on. You nailed it. And then I went to go and purchase the game ready for its release, and what do I see? £100, £100 UK pound price tag. That is absolutely extortionate. So for me, that's a no-brainer. I'm not going to touch this game for a long time until that goes on to the Christmas sales or something very much similar. I would expect this game to be at least less than half of that price before I'm even tempted to go near it, due to your shenanigans, EA. So yeah, Battlefield 1 news right there. Elsewhere then we're looking at Star Wars. Now this has been done before. EA themselves, who we were just talking about, they hold the franchise. They hold the golden key to release everything Star Warsy into our gaming world, and they will do for some time due to their big bucks and their, well, supreme power. They're bigger than the Empire, let's put it that way. However, the guys over at Obsidian, they decided to learn the Unreal Engine, and along with doing that, they created a version of Mos Eisley. Now, this is one of the well-known little towns inside of Star Wars, and they did an awesome job. In fact, they did it so well that it completely surpasses, in my interpretation, that of anything that's ever been done before. Now, it's still active at the time of me recording this, but I know, I'm just waiting for the day that EA strike down the banhammer all over this and take it back, because, well, let's face it, EA are not well known for being the nice guy, and they will protect their franchises, their property, and everything to do with it with very strict ban hammers. So I would grab this while you can. Links to my video revolving around this, going into a lot more information, are in the description again down below. But trust me guys, this is an awesome recreation. It is not a game, it is a proof of concept. It's a prototype. It's them learning, and it's them showing you what can be done. And what can be done is an awesome world revolving around Star Wars, and anything that involves a cantina gets a tick in my eyes. Well, that's it for the gaming, emulation, and front-end news this week, but I do have some more news for you, and it's pretty good. I have made a Discord server. Now, everybody in the entire world is welcomed into this server, and they can talk to me, they can talk to people just like you, who are interested in front-ends, gaming, well, literally anything to do with this scene. And not only are they there to talk to, but, well, me and the others will help you out as much as possible. There is a fountain of knowledge, and there is people just like you who want to, well, share their love and their passion for all this kind of stuff. You can also join me in-game. I'm going to be doing some multiplayer games very soon where I'm going to be recording. I'm going to be joining you guys doing some, well, Let's Plays and multiplayer action, so look forward to that. But that is Emu-Nation for this week, guys. Please like, please subscribe, please do all the things that people normally do in this, I don't know, Star Wars barren landscape full of deserts and, I don't know, Ewoks. But most of all, guys, most of all, you have a good day. Laters!